Would you like to be a father one day? This is kind of couples counseling.
Yeah, um, yeah, I do. I do because I feel like before I was very childlike. I play a lot of video games. I'm irresponsible. I'm lazy. This and that, right? But you know, to be honest with you, Lex, in the last 6 months, I've really have come through some breakthroughs, and I'm in therapy, and I'm doing a lot of things, and really self-analyzing myself and my behaviors and what I want, my desires. And I think ultimately, yes, I really do, because it's a life experience that, I don't want to be an old man looking back and going, It's something that I've always was interested in. And I think it's based on fear because I don't want to, scar my child the way my parents scarred me. But at the same time, my parents didn't do the work on themselves like I am. And they were never about self-improvement. They were immigrants, and they wanted to put food on the table. And after that, they just went about their business. And I'm not like that. I would never be violent toward my kids like my parents were. My dad was very physically abusive. There was a lot of trauma and stuff. And so, as a kid, I thought, I just would never put my kid through this. So that's why I never wanted it. But I would completely do it differently, even yelling and those kind of things. I would be very mindful about those things. And I think that I have certain things, I'm not a sciencey guy like you, but there are life things that I've learned over the years that I could teach a child, about living in the moment or walking through fear, or, things that, things will pass, and just different things, that I would be a good listener. And, yeah, I would like to do that.
So your dad died in August of 2019.
Wow. Yeah. You did your research.
Yeah, it's on your Wikipedia. No, I don't know.
Yeah.
So you said some of it was rough, but what's your fondest memory of your dad?
Well, those memories happened later in life. As a child, my fondest memory was my mom, because he never spent time with us. So, my mom made him take me out one day, and he took me to a park. Like, there was no baseball glove or baseball or anything like that. And we sat on a park bench, right? And we just sat there for hours. We didn't talk because he didn't know English that well. I didn't know Korean. So it's just very, basic, information being, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
How you, this is how we go, how you doing?
Yeah,
I'm okay, good, good, good. That type of thing
yeah, for a long time.
for a long time. And then, but the day turned bad because I forgot my jacket there, and he yelled at me in the
But
car ride.
there's a bit of peace together.
At that time, yeah, there was peace. But then what happened was later in life, when I got Matt TV, and I was doing, in my early years, I'd booked a couple of things. Like in 2000, I did The Tonight Show on Leno. And then I got Matt TV in 2000. And, wow, that was over 20 years ago. And, that's when my parents kind of went, huh, you know, because obviously, there's some nepotism in Hollywood, right? But in my case, my parents were straight up immigrants. I had no connections to Hollywood. And I came up here poor, with no connections, and I built it, you know what I mean, through the years, and in that way, I'm very proud of myself because I went through a lot of fucking hell and sadness and desperation and all that stuff. And I persevered, and I did all that shit on my own, man. I booked the Tonight Show on my own. I got Matt TV on my own. And when I did those things, my parents were very proud.
But before that, did they doubt you?
Oh yeah. You're not funny. You never make me laugh.
Yeah.
right? And that kind of stuff. You're
Yeah.
never gonna make it. You know what I mean? You're gonna be poor all your life. You know, that kind of stuff.
But Mad TV, he was proud. Your dad,
Well,
your parents,
because it was a weekly show, so on Saturday nights they would watch it,
they
and I
would.
yeah,
Okay.
I would play characters that they would understand. Like I did Kim Jong Il at the time,
Yeah.
right? So they loved that,
Yeah.
right? They loved the things that I would do, the physical comedy,
Yeah.
and they couldn't believe in their mind. Imagine your parents from Korea coming here, not knowing the language, having a child here, right? And in their minds, that was never like an option, right? And so when they see their kid, I guess, on TV, especially there was no internet too at the time. The internet had just started. So to them, they were like, this is a miracle. In fact, when I did the Tonight Show, my dad called me the next day and asked me, how much? He literally asked me this. He goes, how much did you pay them to do it? He thought that I had saved all my money. Like that, like
Yeah.
he thought that like Tom Cruise goes up there and goes, "Here's $1,000. Thanks for
Yeah.
having me on." Like you know what I mean? No, I go, "No, they asked me." Like so, conceptually, they were just shocked by it. So when I got it, and then they were watching me weekly, Mad TV, the producers like, "Hey, have your dad on." So my dad did 2 or 3 sketches on television. So those memories. I also did a pilot for Comedy Central, and he was on my pilot.
Pilot for like a show.
Yeah, show. I didn't get picked up, but he was on the pilot.
He was in the show.
Yeah, he was in the pilot. He was on Mad TV too, on television.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah,
Oh wow. Okay.
yeah. So it's like he would get residual checks.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
This changed everything. Those nepotism in reverse.
Yeah. It was really nepotism in reverse. And so those memories are I have very fond memories because he had changed as well. He was no longer that violent kind of a guy. He had softened a lot. You know what I mean? But when he died is when those issues came up. Like a freight train.
The bad stuff.
Oh yeah. And I didn't know what was going on. It was really hard.
You miss him?
Yeah.
How often you think about him?
Every day. Obviously, a lot of it's regrets. You know what I mean?
Like what kind of regrets? Not having said something, or
Um,
not having had a conversation?
it's not regrets because even if he was still alive, they're just things that are impossibilities because of his culture and the way he was raised. But my regret in life will always be having those types of, even because I was with my mom a couple of months ago, and I looked at her and I had tears in my eyes. We're at a Starbucks. I go, Mom, I just want to let you know that I'm so sorry that you lived in that house and my dad, and dad hit you and you survived and you stayed in the marriage because of us, right? And you know what her response was? Let's go to Buca de Beppo. She wanted Italian food. Like there was nothing there, right?
Yeah.
And so my regret is that, that they just will never be able to even grasp the concept of that kind of communication. You know what I mean? And I'll never have it. So that's sad to me, but there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, that callous that comes with an immigrant mentality. You don't even, that emotional connection is not even there. I've had my grandmother.
Yeah.
There's something called Holodomor, which is starvation in Ukraine in the 1930s
Wow.
that you had to live through. She lived through World War II, and there's nothing like the only way you survive that is the callous. You
Yeah.
can't talk with people that fought in major wars. They can't.
They can't. Yeah.
Can't talk about it.
My mom, when she was 12 years old, she walked her little sister, my aunt, to school, right? She forgot a book. So my mom goes to my little sister, my aunt, stay here. I'm going to go get my book. She ran up. She came back. While she was gone, a military truck ran over my aunt. And my mom discovered her body split in half, entrails, the whole thing. And my mom and my uncles had to go and get rice bags to pick up her, you know what I mean? And then bury her, my aunt, when you live through something like that, and also the guilt, because my mom believes deep down that if she didn't forget that book, that my aunt would still be alive, right? So she carries all this guilt and this, and to survive all that trauma, you have to build a callus. Back then, they didn't have EMDR and therapists and psychologists and any of that, right? So they had to survive. So that's who she is, and it's sad to me that, you know what I mean, that she'll forever live in that torment.